In this chapter of Brizy FREE 2022, we're going to build out the hero section. Let's start. There are a number of things that we will change, but first I will build out the hero section and then we'll make those changes you'll understand as we get to the end and the next chapter. There is a huge queue in this page that tells you this is where you have to start and everything starts here. That's in the middle. Start building your page. You click on this plus and it opens the block manager. Here you get pre-made blocks that you can use, but we're going to start building it out from scratch because you have to know how to use the builder, and understanding how it works from scratch will help you be the master of the pre-made blocks. That's here. Create your own, select that, and it drops this container for us on the page. And you know there's a container on the page, also known as a block. You can go here to the sidebar on the left, and the second one from the top that says reorder blocks. When you click on it, you will see previously it was empty, and now there is a block. This is the one that is in here. I'll bring in everything that we're going to be working with, and I want you to think quickly of how we're going to build this out. Let me bring up the page. We're going to turn that block into this block. So you have this block with a background. So we'll bring in an image for the background. We'll make it taller, and then we'll bring in text here for our main heading, text here, and then look, we'll bring in a spacer, an empty piece of element, and a button. We'll also add an overlay to the image and put a black gradient so you can have a little bit of a gradient revealing the image. And at the bottom, we're going to put this divider. That's what we're going to be creating. What I'll do is first bring in those elements. I need a heading, and you do that with the elements. Click on the plus in the middle, and it opens this elements panel for us. Here is the text element that we'll be using for the heading. Click, hold, and drag and drop it on the page. This comes in with some placeholder text that we will swap out. We need another one, so click, hold, and drag, and you will see we have these thick gray lines. That means you can place them either at the top or at the bottom, and I'll drop it here. Next is a spacer, and spacer is here. Click, hold, and drag. And then below the spacer, we bring in a button, and the button is up there. Click, hold, and drag, and you again see all the places you can drop it. If you drop it in an incorrect place by mistake, let's say over there, to move it to the place you really want it to go, click, hold, and then drag it, and you will see those gray lines come back. This looks nothing like we want, but we're going to get there. So hold on. Start with the block, and we bring in the image. To access that, go to the block settings here, click on it, and from this toolbar, the second one from the left is where you will get the background. Select image, and this opens the media library, which is currently empty. And to bring in an image is very easy. You go to your folder with your images and you drag and drop. Let me bring that up. And this will be the home page, and I've prepared everything. So here is my hero. I'll click, hold, and drag and drop, and then select to bring it in, and you'll see the image pops there in the background. I want to add space at the top and the bottom, and you can do that in two ways. The first way is to click and drag in the top. You will see as I hover with my cursor there, it's a slight faded blue with the 75 pixels that appear there. Click and hold, and now drag down, and as I do that, I can add more space, and the little indicator shows us how many pixels we are adding. And I'll drag it to around 200 pixels. If I get to 200, I'll be very happy. And this is there we go to 200. The other way is to put it in manually. And this is often done when you know the value, you don't want to drag, or you cannot get it to that 200. Sometimes your finger is just a little bit slippery that day, and it doesn't want to give you the exact value. Access that with the settings of the block. Go again to the settings, and then there's a settings menu here. And this is under styling. This opens this sidebar on the right. And now you can see here where it says padding, we have added that 200 pixels already at the top. So it appears here. And now we want to add 200 at the bottom. If you grab the slider and you drag it, it's only going to give you 100 pixels. It won't go higher. But don't despair. You can make it 200. Select everything inside by double clicking on it and type in 200. And you're going to get that 200 pixels. Click outside to close the sidebar. go to the settings of the block and access again the settings options here. And now focus on the height. Currently the height is set to auto, which means the 200 pixels at the top plus the 200 pixels at the bottom plus the content here. This will determine the height. Click on the drop down and you will see we have the option for custom and full height. Put it on full height, and with full height you will see that when I scroll to the viewport, which is the top to the bottom of the screen in my browser, it will be stretched all the way from the top to the bottom. I think I want it big, but this is a little too big. I want a little bit space still. So what I will do is go again to the settings of the block, and then instead of putting it on full height, I'll put it on custom. Now I can put it in pixels. Currently it's 400, and as I drag it, you will see nothing happens because it's already more than the 500. Again, I can type in there, let's say 700 pixels, and you'll see it will change. And if I drag it down, it will go again to 500, which is the maximum for the slider. But what I like to do, in this case, I'm going to type in 90 and then put it on %. And this means it will fill 90% of the screen. Just leave a little bit space at the bottom and at the top. We add an overlay to the image to give it a little bit of a reveal effect. And from the block settings, go all the way to the colors. And as you select the colors, I want you to take note of these swatches at the bottom. This is the global style colors, and you can set them so that you can use them again and again and again. If I choose a color here on the color picker, click there on the red, or I click here on one of the swatches, I can also drag this use slider to give me different colors. And next to that is the transparency slider, where we create that reveal effect. I want to use those colors that I'm using for my corporate identity. So I have the black, and I have orange, and I have gray. For me to achieve that, I will have to go and change these swatches. So I don't have to bring in the color every time and put the value in there each and every time. But for now, I'm going to show you how to do it manually so that you are also used to doing it. I want to add a black overlay, and the code for black is 00000. That's the name of black. And you enter that down here in the hex box, in the box for that, and you type in 00000, and you will get black. Alternatively, you just grab this slider and drag it to the bottom left-hand corner, and you will get the black as well. If you grab the slider now you can see we have that reveal effect. In this case, I only want it at the bottom and then fade through to the top. And we can do that with a gradient. From this drop-down, select gradient. And now you'll see that we have the black and we have green. This is just a default color that Brizy gives us. We'll put this color on white. So select the green. And then this swatch all the way to the right is white. If you click on it, you will see that the code says FFF, and that is the name for 100% white. Next, what I want to do is move this gradient so that the black is at the bottom and the white is at the top. And if you look at this little box here with the degrees symbol next to it, it's currently set at 90. So recall your math days at school. I want to turn the black from this side to this side, which is a 90-degree turn. So if it's currently at 90, plus 90 is 180. Let's hope I'm right. I'm wrong, which means it's the opposite. So we type in 0, and there we go. That's what I wanted to achieve here. To get that effect for it to shine through, I'll select the white, make sure it's still selected, and then grab the transparency handle and drag it down to almost 0. You can't put it on 0, so something as close as possible to 0, like 3 is good enough. And I think I want to increase the black, so I'll click on the black selector. And why is this so low? Drag this one up. Okay, that looks better. 48, and let's see, this one is still good. That's much better. Now we have that fade through effect. The last little embellishment that I will give this block is a divider. Go to the block settings. From the toolbar, select settings and then styling. And here in the sidebar at the bottom, you will see dividers currently set to none. You can put a divider at the top and at the bottom, and we'll put one at the bottom. Select that. And then from type, you have a list to choose from. You can use the scroll wheel on your mouse to look at what you have there. I'm going to go with the first one because I want to keep it as simple as possible. And as I select it, you will see there is a black divider that comes in. I'll change the color for that. So I'll select color swatch, white for now. And then I will flip it so that the higher part of the divider is on the left. And next to flip, you simply select this little button and it flips it for us. And let's increase the height of this divider a little bit more. Let's see where we are, around 145. I'll just select that and type in 145 pixels. Now we've created our block. We've put in the background for our block. We've put an overlay gradient for it. We've put a custom height of 90% of the screen, and we've put a divider. That's a lot of functions in just one go. Now let's go work with the elements, and the first one we'll work with is our main heading. As I click on it, it opens the options toolbar from where I can work with it. Everything in Brizy happens with a click on the element. Go to the next one, click on it, spacer, click, and you will see the toolbar pops up and it changes depending on which element you have selected. Different options for different elements. The first thing I'll do is change the color so we can read it. You will see over here we have colors, and currently the color is set to this swatch, second from the right. This is the default color swatch for text. I'll put it on white, and now we can see much better. Change the text, and to do that you have to select everything. I triple click, 1, 2, 3 clicks, select everything, but you can also hit Control A, Command A on your keyboard to select everything. And type in, I'm Lucy. From the toolbar, we center it to the middle. Use the alignment option. You can cycle through that. And I also want to put everything in uppercase. And you have this option here that says capitalize, which is incorrect. It's uppercase. Click on that and now everything is in uppercase. But we want to make this big and we want to change the font. Access that with the T for typography here on the left. And the first thing we'll do is change the font. We have a list of fonts here on the left. And the one we want to use is Montserrat. So I'll select Montserrat. Then I can change the size here. I'll double click in there to select it. And I'll type in a nice value of 90. I'm Lucy. The weight, how thick is the stroke, and I'll put this on bold. And you scroll with the wheel up and down very easily. You can also grab this bar, but if you've got the scroll wheel, just do that, and I'll put it on bold. The line height is the spacing at the top and the bottom. So if I click on the up arrow key, you will see it adds more space at the top and the bottom. Same thing if I hold down on the down arrow key, I reduce that. When I work with headings, I don't want line height. So what I do is I put it on 1. It can't go lower than 1, so 1 it is. And to make our title a little bit more la-di-da, we're going to give it a transparency. Go to the color setting again, transparency slider, and I'll drag it down to around 70%. Just a little bit of flair of innocence. Right, there we go. We're done with this one. Next one, select. Triple click to select everything, and I'll type in a freelance writer. Oh, we call it a freelance power writer. I can't see anything, right? So let's go and change the color again. Select colors, put it on white, center align it, and same thing, I'll put it on uppercase. Change the typography, T for typography. We also put it on Montserrat, and here the size is 48. Type that in. And we'll put it on a weight semi-bold over here. And line height, I will also reduce to 1. And add a little bit of space between the letters with letter spacing, and I'll increase that to 1. Just makes it a little easier to read. Brilliant. Look at that, how quickly we've created that heading and this strap line. I learned this word in the last few weeks, strap line. I used to say tagline. Now I know you can also call it a strap line. Strap line is probably a little bit longer. Next on the list is the spacer. And this one can be a little bit deceptive because if you forgot you put it there, you may not know it's there because there's no indication that it's on the page, except when you hover over it, you will see those little dots, the bounding box appears. Click on it and the settings you access through here, it's set to 50 pixels. And guess what? This default is exactly what I want to work with. You can, if you want to, change it, but you can also change it by simply clicking again on the element. And you will see that little handlebar at the bottom. Click, hold, and drag, and you can just bring in the amount of space that you want. I'll go back and I'll set it on 50 because I'm happy to work with that. Style out the button, and the first thing we'll do is change the text. To select the text, you click in the button, double click, and I'll type in, let's write something. Now in this case, I'm typing it in all caps. Unfortunately, for some reason, the typography here does not give me the uppercase option. So if you want everything in caps, you will have to caps lock on your keyboard so that you can get it like this. Let's go to the button. And here we have a number of options we can go through. You can put it on large, small, medium. I'm going to adjust the height to something I want. And you access the custom settings here with the 3 dots. It gives you the width and it's set to 42. And then the height, I'm just going to decrease the height a little bit to 12. Another way you can work with values is to use the up and down arrow keys on your keyboard. I click in there and then I'll hit down twice. And after I let it go, it thinks for a half a second and then it will adjust the value that I want. So I'm good with the 42 and I'm good with the 12. Let's go to typography, put it again on Montserrat. And I'll increase the height to 18 pixels. Let's make the weight a little bit less and put it on medium. And the letter spacing, I'll add 1 letter spacing. So I'll just select that and type in 1. Makes it a little bit more easier to read. The next one up is the colors. If I select the color, you will see that the button comes in with this teal color selected. And here we're going to quickly look at the global colors because every time I bring in a button, it's going to take this color, the third from the left. And remember, I showed you earlier, every time you bring in a text element, it's going to take the second from the right. And now I'm a little bit nervous. Did I mix up left and right earlier? Since a child, I couldn't get this right. Instead of changing the color every time here in the hex code, we can set up these swatches so that you simply select them and you don't have to change them again and again and again and again. To do that, you access the global styling. From here, you simply click on this little icon and it will open the sidebar on the left and give you the global styling. Click outside and then go to the sidebar on the left, and this is the other way. You can get to the styling by simply clicking on this paintbrush and it gives you the global styling. This current style for this page is called Overpass. And Overpass takes all the colors and the font styling created over here for the typography and applies it. And what we'll do is we'll switch these guys out. There are a few other presets in here if you wanted to play around and see what Brizy gives you, but we're just going to go ahead and create our own. For that, I'll bring up my CID, and the first color I will use is this orange. So I'll copy that code. And I know that is the color I want to use for my buttons. This is the one. So I select this teal, third from the left, select the code and I'll paste it and observe what happens to my button on the page when I paste it. It also changes to that color. Let's look at the other colors I've got here. I've got text gray and I wrote here keep it. And that is this little one on the right, second from the right. I'm going to use this value for my text. I have 2 more. I have text black. And what I will do is I'll take this color here, select it, and it's not pure black, but now I will drag it all the way to the bottom left, 000 000. Now it's black, so I've set that up. And then the last one is a light gray. So I have one more light gray that I'm going to use. I'll copy that and I'll drop it next to this gray. Select this one and barely notice it, F7, F7. Which is slight gray. You can see it's almost white, almost in the top left-hand corner. And this is my palette. So I'm not using this one, nor these 2. And if you have other variants that you want to use, you can put them in there. What's great now is that if I decide in the future I'm tired of this orange, I want to make it a different color, I can simply come here, click on the orange, change the color, and everywhere on my site where I had used this orange, you guessed it, it will change to the new color. So use the global styling, it will save you a lot of work in the future. With this button, we are going to link it eventually to the contact form at the end of this page. If I click on the button, you will see there's a little link icon. I select that, it will tell me all the options I have in terms of linking this button. And we'll do that in the end of this tutorial where we set up everything. Click outside, and now comes the most important part of designing this hero section, or any section for that matter. And that is to make sure that this section, this block, will look well on a tablet as well as on a mobile device. Let's save our work. Go to the bottom and you see the update is in white. I click on that and then it will be grayed out. And that tells us that we have saved everything. Click on preview and look at our page on the front end. Scroll down and we are very chuffed. Good job. But you have to go and check how this will look on a mobile device. And you can do that right within your browser. On your keyboard, hit the function key F12. It will open this inspector with a lot of stuff on the right. You don't have to worry about that. What you want to look for is a little icon like this one that shows you the different devices. And this is emulations of devices in the real world. Select it, and then at the top toolbar, from the drop down, you will see that we have devices you are familiar with, like iPhones, Samsungs, Pixels, Surface Duo, etc. What we can do now is have a look how this will actually look if I were to view it on an iPad Air. We start with a tablet. And what we observe while viewing it here is it looks good, but we notice that this line, a freelance power writer, breaks into two lines. Because we have a narrower display, the line is too long, it forces it to a next line. It doesn't look bad, but we could consider making the font smaller so it can fit in. And then when we go to iPhone, let's go to iPhone 12 Pro, we see we run into serious problems. It doesn't look good. I'll leave this open and go back because now we have to go and make those changes. And this is what we refer to as responsive design. I had shown you earlier that you can access the different designs by going to this icon here in the bottom left and select tablet and also select mobile. Put it back on desktop because a shortcut key that's going to come in very handy is Control-Command-. At the top of your letters, you just hit minus, it goes to tablet, hit minus again, goes to mobile, hit minus again, it cycles through. And if you hit Control+, it will cycle the other way around. I'll go down minus. And what we can do now is make changes here that will only affect the tablet. And Brizy is excellent at this. It doesn't give you unnecessary junk. It only gives you the things that you can change. Click on this text element here, and you will see this is much shorter toolbar than when we were in the desktop view. The reason for that is the stuff you cannot change, Brizy removes that and says, these things over here, this is what you can change. And what I want to change is the font size. Click on T for typography. Currently it's set to 48. Let's put it down to 40. And I think that's still a little bit too big, so I'll drop it down to 36. Select the button, and here I will click on T for typography, change to 16, and I will change my letter spacing to 1. I can see, and the weight, we put it again on medium. That looks better. The reason it's different is because this is how the responsive design is set up in Brizy. Each level has its own settings. It just borrows basically the content from the main level. Hit Control- again, and we go to our mobile device. Select I'm Lucy, go for T for typography, and from 90, I'm just going to half that and put that on 45. Next one. Let's select this. It was at 30. Let's see if we put it on 30 here. Decision time. Do we want this in 1 line or 2 lines? I think we're going to leave it on 2 lines. I will change the semi-bold to medium. Just make it a little bit thinner. That looks good. And the same thing for the button here. Let's go for T for typography. I'll leave it on 15 this time, but I'll put it on medium. Where is the medium? Oh, medium. There's medium. Interesting. Let me scroll. Ah, there's medium. I was missing medium for the whole time. And now that I look at it, I actually don't want that arrow there. So I want to remove that arrow, but you cannot do it at this level. Remember, you can only do that at the content level, which is the desktop. So I'll hit Control plus to go up to tablet, and I'll hit it one more time to go to my desktop. Select my button. Go to the little hand, select from the tab at the top icon, and simply click here on the delete and remove that. Save our work, Control Command S. And let's go to this tab to see what we've got now. Refresh it. And look how nicely that fits in. Great stuff. Let's have a look on the iPad Air. Brilliant. Now, this is how you can test it in your browser. Whether it's Firefox, Safari, Chrome, or Edge, all of them have this feature, and you have to go test it here. Why? Because this, what we refer to as a breakpoint, is different on many devices than what Brizy has. So if I go to the mobile display again, you can see from left to right and top to bottom, this is very different to what we have here, for example, for an iPhone 12 Pro. This one is much more narrower and the dimensions are different. I like to use what I call a developer's tool. I'll leave a link in the description for you below. You can have a look at that. It's not free. I like to use it. It just gives me that real feedback. Let me show you quickly. It's called Secion. And what I have here are 4 devices. I have a Galaxy S20, I have an iPad, I have a MacBook Air, and then I have a desktop here at HD resolution. I need to bring in the URL for the site that we are creating. So I'll go to my site, and then with the preview, I can close this. I can close that with the X, and I'll grab this link here in the top. I'll go to Secion again, and I'll paste that. And now it will render that page for me with these emulations so that I can see how it will display if somebody were to actually use these devices. Nice side by side. I love it. And if you are interested in it, you can also go and check it out. And it looks good. You're on my Galaxy S20, which I use because of that narrow resolution of 360. You see, that's very narrow. That line breaks into 2 with power and writer on the second line. But remember, we decided that looks okay to us. Then the rest of them, pretty nice. One feature I'm suddenly thinking of that I just want to go back, and that is the content spacing on the block. Go to the block settings. I'll close this preview back in Brizy, and we hit Control plus, or you can simply go here in the sidebar and select desktop. Go to the block settings, and then from the settings, you will see we have this option here for content at the top, middle, and bottom. And by default, it's set to middle. Interestingly, because I don't remember it always being in the middle, but if you were to design it and all your content appears there at the top and you don't like the empty space here at the bottom, then come here to the content and just make sure you put it to the middle. That should be there by default. Finally, let's add a little bit of animation. And we don't want to overdo it, but we want people to notice the important things on our site. And that's why I will put animation on this button so that it comes with an entrance and that it draws the attention of the visitor. To add animation, go to the settings. And then here in the sidebar, you see at the top, we have styling and we have effects. So click on effects and we have a number here, bounce. Click on that and you'll see it does that. Fade. Nice. Rotate. Hello. There we have slide. I like the slide. Zoom. And then attention. Ta-da. Oh, no. I'll put it on slide. And once you select it, you will notice that we have options here up. We can slide it down. We can slide it from the left to the right. But in this case, I really like the up. Below that, duration, how long does the animation last? So if I put it on something like 3 seconds, it takes a very slow up, which is not preferable. I think that 1 second is perfect. Select the value, type in 1. And the delay determines how soon will this animation appear after someone loads the page. So it's on 1 second. That's great. It's great on desktops. It's okay on tablets, but it's not recommended on mobile devices. And the reason you don't want this amount of animation on a mobile device is you have to picture yourself as someone standing on a subway train, looking at your website, and they just scroll like crazy. If this animation takes 1 second to appear on your site, they may miss it, and they will miss the button, and they will not click on it. My recommendation, and it's only my recommendation, is that when it comes to a mobile device, try and disable animation. And luckily, thank you for Brizy, they give us the option to do that. I'll go to the mobile responsiveness, I'll select it, go to mobile, select the button, and then in the sidebar on the right, you will see we have effects, and now I will select none. The animation is still there on desktop. On the mobile device, there's none. This is a great responsive feature, so you can go crazy with the entrance animations if you want to on desktop, but be highly conservative with it on a mobile device. Control Command S to save it, and I'll go to Sissy. Let's just make sure we didn't screw up anything, and I'll reload this for us. And what we should see is that there's a mobile, it comes in. Aha, you see the entrance animation for those two, but not for this one. We're done with this hero section. A few more tweaks, but we'll get to that. Brilliant job done. If this was useful, a quick favor to ask, remember to give us a like for this video, and anything that I've covered in this video, like the Sissy, I'll have a link for you below so you can go and have a look at it if you're interested in something like that. You don't need to buy it. You don't need to get it. You can do all of that responsive checking within your browser. In the next video, we're going to look at how we can set the header to transparent so that the Blocksy header can overlap our hero section.